So Russ is trading up in the job department this season?
Yes, he is. I never know whether to say he or I. It's always that weird thing. Yes, Russ has got a new job. He has somehow convinced people to give him a more substantial position. Last year he was sort of, scuffling. That's right. I should know this, but shuffling his feet. I'm going to say shuffle. Sounds more appropriate. Shuffling his feet a little bit, trying to, I think financially, like trying to support his family and do what he needs to do, but also not sell out so much so. And this year we find him, yes, with a better job. They have a better house as a result of that. But with that comes more responsibility. And I think that's one of the themes that my character deals with a little bit this season, which is trying to make the transition from just sort of regular employee to now manager and dealing with, managing not only other employees but friends that are employees.
Is this like his worst nightmare? He seemed like he really wanted to cut loose and bail on life last
Yes. It's his worst nightmare and mine as well, because I really wanted to spend season 2 in Costa Rica, and apparently it's too expensive, so we're not allowed to do that. So we have to figure out other storylines. But yes, I think the fact that he's making more money sort of eases that desire to escape and that desire to sort of change up his life and to get out of a rut a little bit. But he's working longer hours, spending less time with his family, so it sort of presents a host of other new challenges for him. And I think he's on the hook for a lot of it. As we were sort of speaking about earlier, I think this season we're seeing Russ have to be in more of a management position, and part of that is being in charge of friends like Bernie, played by John Hodgman. I have to be his boss, and it's just an uncomfortable situation, and one that I don't think Russ is really familiar with or comfortable with. And then we also meet my assistant, Miranda, and we meet my boss, Gil. And some really fun dynamics. I mean, mostly, thanks to Gil, because he is younger than I am and just sort of introverted and weird and odd. And to see Russ have to kind of stay late at work because of him and sort of, do what he says and sort of swallow his pride at many moments. It's kind of an interesting dynamic, both to see Russ sort of be subservient to a younger guy, and then also to sort of play the boss to people that are probably older than him who are friends of his. So it's like this sort of very wonderfully awkward and uncomfortable situation at work, which is where most good laughs come from.
Well, it's also an interesting tug of war for Russ's attention. I mean, he's got a boss who wants his attention. He also has an assistant who wants his attention, and he has his wife who wants attention.
Yes.
So that's kind of a tricky world to kind of navigate when you've got all these responsibilities.
It is. And so I think there's more financial security, but at the cost of less availability at home. And, we have several moments in different episodes where you see sort of Russ communicating through like FaceTime or through coming home late and, tucking kids in, or it's, that sort of gone early in the morning and then home late at night. And so you end up, I think, feeling for him in the sense that he's providing more for his family, but he's also losing time with the kids and with his family, which I think is something that is a very universal struggle, for most people that work, either men, women, whoever.
So does that mean Russ is getting even less sex this season?
It's probably, yes. I think so. I think it could be safe to say that he probably gets home after his wife now is already asleep. Before she was asleep but still awake, asleep sexually but still awake, and now she's asleep both physically and sexually.
So how does he cope? Because last season, of course, he was able to
Yes.
go out and look around, but now.
Yes, I mean, I think he still flirts. I think his secretary is a avenue for that. But up until this point, and this could change because there's 4 episodes left and I haven't read them. But up until this point, it's strictly a flirtatious thing, and there's no there hasn't been any sexual attention beyond just sort of flirting at work. So I think it's probably the work has become taxing on both, obviously his family life, but also his sex life, because he's not out and being able to flirt with anybody else except the people that are at work. So there's no, I guess on the good hand, there's no nothing pulling his attention away.
One of the things that's charming about the show, though, is that he doesn't really seem to be interested in sleeping with anyone except his wife.
Yeah,
he's really enthusiastic for her.
Absolutely, and I think that was a very strong pivot that the show made right off the bat. Was that it was less about him wanting to go out and be with other women in every episode, but it was more about him just wanting more of his wife and having to sort of navigate how to make that work when, he's working, she's now working, and she's got, 3 kids to tend to during the times where she's not working, and how do you find the time to sort of get intimate with each other? And I think that's always going to be something for Russ that he struggles with, which is just to maintain that, the closeness that you have to in a marriage,
Does their new house have a bigger shower?
Yes, thankfully. Oh my God, that shower was as small as it looked on television as it was shooting it. It was really cramped. Not sure why they scouted that. That wasn't part of the main scouting, or one of the main, things to look for when they were scouting the house. But regardless, it was a tiny shower. Poor Judy had to get real close to me. Really feel for her.
One of the main attractions to the show, of course, is your chemistry with Judy. It's very natural, and everybody comments on it.
Oh,
and
good.
It's a lot of fun to watch. How is it for you guys to work together?
It's very easy. I mean, I have to say, I think when you have, I think that's always a good sign when you're working with someone, when it feels very effortless in a way. And I think Judy is such a talented actress that she right off the bat sort of puts you at ease and makes it feel very familiar, like you've known each other for a very long time, despite the fact that maybe you've just met or you've only done a few scenes or episodes together. She really makes you feel like you're in a relationship with her. And I guess that means she's a really good actress, because it makes my job very easy. I think we have a deep fondness for each other, I think, just as people, and really enjoy each other's company and enjoy talking and hanging out outside of being on set or in front of the camera. So I think that probably plays a lot into it too, just being, I think we're very similar in the sense that we're, grounded, and there's more to life than probably just this, and not so as selfish and as ego driven as sometimes this business can make people. And I think we have a good perspective on things, having been doing it for a long time, respectively. So I think all of that just sort of goes into, having an easiness with each other.
Can you talk about Russ's dynamic with Jess and AJ this
Yeah.
season?
Yeah.
I mean, with Russ working and having family, when does he have time for friends?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Russ is always sort of the caretaker of his friends in a way. And because AJ has gone through so many sort of roller coaster emotions and episodes and just, I don't know, emotional instability, that Russ is sort of the constant or the grounding kind of force behind their friendship. And I think that's why they get along so well, is that he grounds, I think, some of AJ's ridiculous behavior. And this season is no different. There's, AJ sort of on this track of being sober, and he's practicing abstinence, and I am sort of, I would say, questioning it, but also, I guess, trying to guide him through it. But there are moments when he resorts and falls back into this sort of destructive behavior. Like, I encourage him to go back to work, and I sort of give him this pep talk, like, it's going to be fine, you just have to get through it, and apologize to everybody, and then you'll be fine. And then he goes back and has this sort of crazy episode, and then wants to retaliate against his former partner, his former business partner, by, like, going and sleeping with his business partner's mistress. So I am sort of end up being along the ride for all of those things. And Jess, it's the same sort of dynamic, the same relationship, I think they are sort of slowly growing apart, because I think Jess's antics and behavior seem to be more and more unflattering to Russ, and probably less fun than they used to when they were younger. It's becoming a little bit more strained, I think, because of that. Like, she still wants to go to, see bands and DJs, and Russ is all in for that, but then when she wants to stay and try to, like, flirt and be, do suspicious behavior with people that she sees there or meets there, I think Russ then steps back and it's like, I'm not in for this anymore, and this. So I think their dynamic and their relationship is changing, because I think Russ is just slightly more responsible and slightly more considerate, and I think Jess is probably at a crossroads in her own life of feeling stuck, and I think Russ is beyond that a little bit at this point.
Looking back at season 1, do you have any favorite scenes?
What happened in season 1?
A really awkward encounter at the doctor's office.
Yes. That was actually a really fun scene to shoot. Everything is gone from season 1, because then we're doing season 2 now. So, like, I don't even remember what we did, but I did enjoy all the stuff that we did, like at the healing, where when AJ went to rehab, and we had all those scenes, and everybody was basically just throwing insults at each other in the midst of this sort of, like, supposed to be peaceful and forgiving safe haven, and it just turned toxic. And I think these guys do, Andrew and the writing staff do such a tremendous job at sort of making things feel grounded and feel like, identifiable amidst the sort of heightened kind of absurdist reality. And I think that's tonally just a wonderful sweet spot, but very challenging to pull off without it seeming too jokey or seeming too dramatic or whatever it is. You have to sort of find that line where you're sort of getting laughs without really knowing that, you're laughing without really knowing it a little bit. It doesn't feel out of place.
Yeah, kind of in that. What I feel when I'm watching, I feel for Russ so much in some of the situations he winds up in, and I'm just like, oh my God. Do you ever just get the script and be like, what are they having me do?
Yes, I do. Which is the best place to be. I mean, I think the more awkward and uncomfortable and, seemingly like just that cringe moment, like as an actor, those are like moments that you die for, So I relish those moments. I relish like having to fire a good friend or just be in a position of, taking care of Jess's kid because she's out like trying to hook up with some other guy, and the two of us are left to, figure out the night. Those moments are really fun to play, just in the sense that they're so awkward and so uncomfortable. And as a viewer, I always, those are the moments that really reel me in. I think when I'm watching something else, when I'm sitting there like, with my hand over my eyes, being like, this is so uncomfortable. But yeah, that's what I think brings me back every time. So I look forward to those moments.
The entire Costa Rica thing really seemed to sum up Russ, where he was so dog with a bone about going to Costa Rica. And
Yes.
find out he didn't even finish the book.
Yes, I know.
You're like,
that was such a wonderful moment of being caught. That I loved that scene where he was caught and Judy was very funny, just in baiting me into what part I liked and what part I didn't like. That actually went on for a little. I feel like we improvised a bit that day, where she was needling me about it. I think it was more of just the symbolism of him feeling like he was living in the valley with 3 kids, and he didn't really have a job, and he wasn't supporting his family. I think he probably looked back on his life and thought things would end up differently than they had at that moment. Not to say that he was unhappy or that he was regretful, but I think it was more of a, where am I now? Taking stock of where he was at that time of his life and what he wanted, and I think he just wanted something to change in whatever way it could. And Costa Rica felt like the best possible answer for that.
But this new job's a good second. He gets more confidence.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I do think he's in a better place than he was. I think there is confidence that comes with it, but also, like we talked about, just more responsibility and baggage because of that.
Have you directed any of the episodes this season, or do you want to direct any of the episodes?
I haven't directed anything this season. I would absolutely be open to it. It is challenging in the sense of just being in the script a lot and being an actor in it, and having that alone feels like a big responsibility, and it can be a lot of work, just especially because in the way we shoot is like blocks where we're doing 2 to 3 episodes at one time over a small amount of time. So it's really intensive. So I feel like it would, unless maybe that changed and we made it a little bit more traditional as far as like shooting 1 episode in 5 days over a week, it would be a challenge just doing a block of 3 episodes all at once with all the material that we have to know, and then plus having to scout and then be on top of everything. It would probably make me old quickly, because I think I would get super stressed out. But obviously I adore the show and would love to, expand what I'm doing, but I feel very, satisfied and grateful of the position I'm in already. So it's not necessarily something that I'm like, this has to happen. I think if it organically happened in the future in a way that made sense, then I would be open to it. But I think as it exists now, it would be a heavy responsibility that I'm not sure I have the strength to take on.
We had a discussion with your co-stars whether or not your character has like a work wife and a work mistress, and they felt their characters had those kind of qualities because they were constantly demanding the time and attention. Does it kind of feel like that sometimes?
You mean like in real life? Like
No.
No. I was gonna say it does, because it does in real life.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I mean, Zach might be surprised.
Yes. No, you mean like, does Russ seem like he has?
Well, his relationship with his boss, Zach
Yes.
was describing that relationship. He's him being the demanding one, kind of being mistress.
Yes,
Wanting more and more
yes,
attention
I
all
see
the
what you're
time.
saying. Yes, yes, it does very much so, and I think Russ sort of has to begrudgingly go into that, and he doesn't really have any say in it because he's below him on the sort of totem pole, and therefore there's no, and his boss is, Zach is sort of unrelenting in his quest to get to know each other better and hang out more and do stuff together, and Russ sort of sees it as a way to, I think his strategy is if I befriend my boss, then he'll be more lenient with me and he'll let me go at reasonable hours instead of keeping us until midnight every night. But what ends up happening is Zach just then becomes more, I think, codependent on Russ. So it sort of backfires in a way, and he already has enough responsibility at home with Lena and 3 children. So yes, I would say that there is work mistress and home wife.
Are we going to get more of the relationship between Russ and his daughters this season?
I would say probably equal to what we saw in the first season. I think there's some really funny stuff with Lena and the eldest daughter, with Raven, who plays the eldest daughter. I don't even remember. Ella? Yeah, I was like, wait, there's so many names. Because there's the real name, then there's the character name, and then there's the, yes. So yes, Lena has some really funny stuff with Ella as far as like wanting to become a cool mom and be like the mother that the kids talk about, which is supposedly, I haven't seen it, but really, really funny. And then I have some stuff with the kids, but I would say probably most of my stuff is with Lena and then our friends, and then work stuff. But we do have, I mean, they're obviously present a lot. We haven't, she hated that answer. She hated that answer. Again, she hated it twice.
Is Lena at the same school with any of the daughters? Because she's working at a school this season?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Where do you kids go to school?
I have no idea. I drop them off a lot, but I don't know. I don't know, actually. I would assume that it is, but I can't say for sure. But we have a lot of scenes together, obviously. We have a lot of interaction, just, but I probably wouldn't say that there's like specific storylines where it's just me and one of the daughters going off to do something. But like I said, Judy does have those episodes. I just wasn't. They don't trust me, I guess.
It could be in one of the last 3 you haven't read yet.
It's true. That is true. It is true. But they are always present, yeah.
What's Russ's actual job?
He is like he works in design, and my line, it's funny because we have a scene where Jess comes to work and asks me what I do. And it's basically like I design logos for men that are probably too old to be like skateboarding, and like I like my sweet spot is like guys that probably like are trying to look 20 years younger than they should, so they're wearing like cool hoodies and they're skateboarding, but they're like in their 40s and probably shouldn't be doing any of that. But I like design cool logos, for t-shirts for them to wear. So it's graphic design essentially.
Because the set seemed very like skateboards and surfboards.
Yes.
It just reminded me of the storyline last season.
Yes.
With the long surfboard
With
that you stole.
Yes. I know, the longboard. I know. That was going back to favorite episodes or favorite moments. That stuff with Ike Barinholtz, where we were in his place, and he was in the wheelchair after suffering from a bullet wound when somebody tried to rob the surf shop. That was probably a highlight of last season, now that I'm remembering it.
Couldn't keep it together.
I couldn't keep together. They had to have my stand-in come in because they were shooting over my shoulder, dirty over my shoulder onto Ike, and I was like doing this, and they were like, Nat, you have to stop laughing because we can't get the shot. And they finally had to have my stand-in come and be the shoulder because I totally lost it. It was also like a Friday after working all week, and it was a night shoot, so it was like 3 in the morning, and I had lost my mind. I was like giddy and laughing, and I couldn't hold it together, and was just like, so, yeah, that's embarrassing to admit, but my stand-in had to be the shoulder, because I couldn't keep it together.
Are there any guest stars like that? This kind of...
Yes, there's fantastic people. We have both our parents make appearances this season. Judy's mother, Frances Conroy, and her stepfather in the show, which is MC Gainey. And MC and I have some really fun scenes together where he plays. It's a really funny episode. The whole thing is very funny. It's basically Lena thinks that her mother should go into a retirement. They're in a retirement community, but she thinks the mother should come home because she doesn't feel like she's, being taken care of as well as she could be, and she's worried about her stepfather, like how much do they know about him? And I'm like, they've known each other for 14 years, what do you mean? And then she suspects that the stepfather, MC Gainey, is taking advantage of the mother, and the mother has dementia and doesn't understand it. And so I have to talk to the stepfather, and so MC Gainey and I have some really fun scenes, and we did a movie together a long time ago, and so it was really fun to see him again and collaborate and just do those awkward moments together where he is just this huge, scary dude that could crush me with his fist, and I am trying to delicately ask questions about what's happening in his marriage. So it's really fun.